Hello, everybody. Dr. Dan Yachter here for news, views, and weekly updates. Our Wednesday, 12 p.m. segment. Each week, we do this to bring you the most important health topics out there on the healthcare horizon, and we are always happy to have you join us. This is also broadcasted inside of our private group, My Family, My Mission, our private Facebook group. And in that group, all of the articles that I mentioned are posted with a lot of additional information in that group. So when you have a chance, if you want to access the articles I'm discussing, the news, views, and weekly updates, you can go there, join My Family, My Mission. And throughout the week, there are multiple postings, videos that are done, uploads, and I think you'll find it a rich resource, health resource. So join when you have a chance. I'm going to go ahead and jump into the various topics that we have. And of course, if you have not had an opportunity yet, go ahead and register for our Fixing Your Broken Brain Masterclass. It is a free masterclass. And there are so many people out there with memory issues, confusion, foggy brain, fatigue, depression, anxiety, all kinds of different brain issues. And you do not have to live with these things. There are different strategies. It may be the case right now, but it's not your future. So there are strategies you can learn. On July 15th, that's a 6:30 p.m. It's a Tuesday, 6:30 p.m. right here in our office. We're going to be teaching about how to get your brain healthy, keep it healthy, and prevent awful things like dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other brain diseases from forming and developing. So we want you here. Mark your calendars. Fixing Your Broken Brain Masterclass. It's free. It's open to the public. You do not have to be a current patient to attend. And it's not normal. Brain diseases are not normal. Brain issues, foggy brain, memory issues, struggling with brain issues in general, not normal, and they are not your future. If you have the right knowledge and you know how to implement that knowledge, it could be a very different path for you. So we want you here. We want to help the community live their best health and their best life, physically, mentally, emotionally. We have strategies that can really help elevate you to the next level. So in our private group, I'm right now scrolling. I'm actually in the group where these articles that I'm going to be discussing right now are posted, and you can see them when you join the group, My Family, My Mission. The first article that I'm going to talk about is RFK Jr. He is revolutionizing the vaccine injury compensation program. This is really, really important. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this for a short bit. But a lot of people don't know about what happened. Let me go ahead and shift back to where I was here. In 1986, the 1986 Vaccine Act was a very important act, well, at least for the vaccine companies. Back then, I've mentioned this before, and this article refers to this. Back then, the vaccine companies were being sued. They begged the U.S. government for indemnification, for shielding from lawsuits, because the vaccines were injuring so many people, mainly children, that the lawsuits were mounting. They were piling up, and the vaccine company said, we're not going to make vaccines anymore if you, the government, does not protect us. Millions and millions of dollars worth of vaccine lawsuits were taking place. So there was indemnification passed by the Reagan administration, and the vaccines had shielding. And there was a separate court paid by way of taxpayer dollars, this vaccine injury court, where if you had a claim against the vaccine makers, if your child or you were injured, you had to go through this, what really is now known as a kangaroo court, vaccine injury compensation court, where you would present your claim, and if you were lucky, you would have the damages paid for. So whether it was you, your child, mainly your child, maimed, crippled, killed, just their life destroyed from a vaccine, you'd have to go to this vaccine court. Well, since 1986, well beyond $4 billion have been paid out in compensation claims. $110 million on average per year paid out to vaccine injured adults and children. And what this article talks about is RFK Jr. revolutionizing the vaccine injury compensation program. The health secretary, RFK Jr., said there are issues with the program, which was created as part of a law that gives vaccine manufacturers immunity. Federal officials are working on revamping the program that provides compensation for people who suffer injuries from vaccines. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said on June 30th. We just brought a guy in this week who is going to be revolutionizing the vaccine injury compensation program, Kennedy said during an interview. The National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program was established as part of the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986. That law also granted vaccine manufacturers immunity from lawsuits. The only product, the only industry that has immunity from lawsuits. Car companies don't have that. If they don't do safety studies on their cars and you crash and you get hit, you get rear-ended and the gas tank was put in the wrong place and was never safety studied and it blows up on you and kills you, the auto industry, they're going to get sued for a lot of money. They don't have immunity from lawsuits. No industry does except the vaccine industry. In 1986, this Injury Act, the law granted vaccine manufacturers immunity from lawsuits. Under the program, injury claims are lodged with judges who decide whether to grant payouts from after the hearing from petitioners and the government. Department of Justice attorneys representing the Department of Health and Human Services, the department Kennedy heads, often present evidence opposing the claims. So again, the Department of Justice, the Department of Health and Human Services, historically brings their best attorneys, and they fight these parents who are bringing claims regarding their children being maimed, crippled, or killed from the vaccines. And the program has since 2006 awarded money to almost 13,000 people. But again, they're trying to revamp it so people can get better compensation and the process is run better. And you don't have all kinds of conflicts of interest. So this is good. And really what it's about getting people the compensation that they really deserve, that they should be getting, these families who've been vaccine injured. So again, we go back to this vaccine, and again, I know this is I hate to make like a lot of the segments of a lot of vaccine stuff, but it's just what's in the news now, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the vaccine industry, a lot going on, the vaccine panels. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that now. There's a ton of it in the news, so it's hard not to talk about, and a lot of people are uneasy about the vaccine topic. They don't like to hear about it. They don't like to talk about it, but it's really the most prominent topic in the news right now, in the healthcare news. And most people are aware of this vaccine court that's paid north of $4 billion over the last 40 years because of people who've been injured, mainly primarily the childhood vaccines. They're not aware of that. They're also not aware of the fact that none of the childhood vaccines have any random controlled drug trials, placebo, double-blind, random controlled trials, the gold standard in medicine. None of them have this since 1986 or maybe before. So no real safety studies done on the vaccines that you've trusted your pediatrician to shoot into your kids or yourself with the flu shot. And not only that, when you get your kid vaccinated, they've never done studies, any safety studies, including with multiple ones combined. So that's a problem in and of itself. And of course, now there are studies coming out of many pediatricians' office showing that the unvaccinated children are healthier than non-vaccinated or than vaccinated children. So a very important topic to pay attention to. And again, this full article is posted in my private group, My Family, My Mission. Here's another very important article. Again, the full article is in my private group. You can read about it. The flu vaccine. Now, the flu vaccine contains thimerosal. Thimerosal is basically mercury. The reason they've put it in the flu shot for years in most flu shots, not all, but most of them, including those given to children and pregnant women, it's a form of mercury. It was put there as a preservative and to make sure, like, things didn't grow in the vaccine. Like, there wasn't it was put there to prevent the buildup of bacteria and fungi and stuff like that. So it was removed from all routine childhood vaccines back in 2001. So it's not in childhood vaccines. It was, that was a big problem. That's why they removed it, but it stayed in most flu shots. So RFK Jr., he basically got the CDC vaccine advisors to vote. They all voted to stop recommending the flu shot containing thimerosal. It was a 5-1 vote. And, we now know that, shooting mercury, a derivative of mercury, into your bloodstream is just not a good thing. So again, another recent development. A lot of scientists argue that it's not a problem. Many of them work for the vaccine companies, that thimerosal is innocuous. It's not toxic for the body. It doesn't really cause harm. But I think if you just use common sense, if you just give it a little bit of thought, your mind has to say to you, you know what, probably not a good idea to shoot mercury intramuscularly directly. It goes directly into the bloodstream. And if you are exposed to mercury or any heavy metals in the environment, that's not the entry point typically. You're either breathing it in, or maybe it's getting in through the food, through fish or something like that. But it's not shot through, into the arm, intramuscularly, into the bloodstream. And so it makes it even more dangerous. So nonetheless, recent development, being taken out of the flu shot. Again, this is posted in my private group. Over the last 2 weeks, RFK Jr., the Secretary of the Health and Human Services, which houses the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, the National Institutes of Health, the CDC, every health agency is housed under RFK Jr., under the auspices of Health and Human Services. So they got the right man in power here now. And what he did is he's cleaning house. He fired all of the people on the advisory committee for the immunization practices, the ACCP. So you'll see that posted in my group. Everybody's been fired, all 17 members. And he's now in the process of replacing all of them. Robert Malone, another one, Dr. Levy, an MIT professor. And again, he's not stocking the ACCP, this advisory committee on vaccine practices or immunization practices. He's not stocking it with his cronies. It's not like this good old boys network and he's just putting his best friends in there. He's putting people that many of them are pro-vaccine. I would think many of them are, I know many of them are very pro-vaccine, but he's putting people there who are going to be good advocates. They're going to be hopefully non-biased, neutral advocates for us, really there to protect us. And for those who want to get vaccines, continue getting them for their kids, he's going to make sure that they're just safer. They don't have this garbage in it where it takes years to get things like thimerosal, mercury, things out of the vaccines. RFK Jr. and I have different opinions and different ideologies and different, clinical backgrounds for certain when it comes to vaccines. I have different opinions about these vaccines than RFK Jr. His thrust is just to really make the vaccine safer. So he's cleaned house, has new people on the board, and these people are really what they're simply trying to do, in the beginning here is with no conflicts of interest, judge all of the vaccines that had been approved. If they shouldn't have been approved, if there were major conflicts of interest, get them off the market, and at least at a bare minimum, get clean vaccines that are not going to, injure people, injure kids, kill, maim, cripple, and create $4 billion of lawsuits over the next 40 years. So think that's a good start. Cleaned house, and he's got scientifically minded, truthful, non-conflict of interest individuals on the panel. So this is a good thing. You'll see other very important postings in the group. Again, if you have an opportunity, join My Family, My Mission. It's a Facebook group that houses all of these articles and much more. I'm in there almost every day. We have posts, and we have a lot of resources that you're not going to see anywhere else in social media. So head over there if you haven't already when I get done with the broadcast. And of course, as I opened up with this broadcast, we have the very important masterclass coming up, Fixing or Healing Your Broken Brain, presented by yours truly. I've been teaching these masterclasses and in clinical practice close to 30 years. And it's going to be a phenomenal masterclass. You're going to learn so much: how to prevent brain disease, stop dementia. There are scientists, medical doctors around the world that are not only slowing and stopping the process, but reversing brain disease. You're going to learn how to increase mental clarity, apply brain disease fighting nutritional strategies, reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease, all different types of dementia, and add years to your life and life to your years. How do you live your best life? You live it by building and holding onto your best health. That's what these master classes are about. I'm very excited. I've been putting a lot of time into preparing for this master class. This master class is very meaningful for me. I've seen a lot of brain diseases in my own family, dementia, Parkinson's. It's been heartbreaking and heart-wrenching for me. There's only one disease that really scares me. It's not cancer. Cancer doesn't scare me. Heart disease doesn't scare me. Heart attacks, strokes, they don't scare me really. When I talk about dementia, that scares me. I don't want a brain disease. I don't want to land, 20 years from now, I don't want to land there with Alzheimer's, any type of dementia. That scares me. I've been around family members dealing with these things and, not knowing who they are, not remembering what they said a minute ago, not remembering the people in front of them. Absolutely frightening, scary. And I'm here to arm the community with almost 30 years of research into this topic, day in and day out, clinical experience, working with individuals. Now, some of the patients in this office, I practiced before I was in Lake Mary, but in this office, I have patients going on to beginning their 26th year with me, tracking patients, almost just north of 28,000 patients, and really seeing and understanding what it takes to keep the brain healthy and strong. What does that lifestyle look like? That's what I look forward to sharing with you on the 15th of July. That's the date of the master class. We're going to talk about all of the key strategies, what's out there medically, what are the things that you could be doing medically, medication-wise, that could be accelerating brain disease. What are those things? We're going to talk about, once again, like we did last month, the brain-gut connection. We're going to talk about the foods that supercharge your brain. We're going to talk about the foods that destroy your brain. We're going to talk about the one beverage that over 90% of Americans drink every day that has been found to lower your risk of brain disease, significantly reduce your risk of Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's dementia, and others. So again, 65% decrease in your risk of developing Alzheimer's disease later in life if you drink this one beverage every day. So we're going to talk about this beverage, but there's a certain way to drink it. There's a certain sourcing of the bean that you want to get, and there's a lot behind it. So the foods, the supplements, the single most important test that you want to do, simple blood spot that we do a pinprick for the finger in our office, a little drip of blood, send it off, and we get this blood marker back. the single most important blood marker you want to know about in order to protect your brain health now and well into the future. We'll be talking about that July 15th. The most important supplement for brain health. And we're going to go through the top, what I call the top 13 blood markers. Okay. The Baker's dozen blood markers you're going to learn about. Which Baker's dozen blood markers do you want to make sure you're tracking? If not annually, you want to do it biannually like I do. I do these huge blood panels every 2 years, and I track, and these are the main ones that I watch primarily for brain health. We talk about exercise, the dramatic impact that the right type of exercise can have on your brain. So please come join us in our private group and my personal profile, which you guys are watching this through right now. You guys are going to see links to register for that masterclass. You do not have to be a current active patient. These masterclasses are free. I put them on. I present them for the community to arm and equip and empower the community to be their best, health-wise and otherwise. So join us. You'll see the link. Click on the link. Join now. We run out of space. So again, seating is limited, but we want you to be there. Please join us. So I'm going to sign off now. Dr. Dan Yachter signing off for news, views, and weekly updates. Thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week.